All right, y'all. We're live. I'm back. It has been a minute. And by a minute I mean 2 days. but let's get into today's conversation. So YouTube changed my life with less than 700 subscribers. And I I underestimated how much I learned from being able to challenge myself over these past 30 days. Just to recap, in the month of November, I went live every day on TikTok and on YouTube to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I did not get to 1,000 subscribers. I still don't have 700. And it was it was in some ways it was disappointing, and in some ways it definitely discouraged me, and I'll get into some of my feelings on that. But I also didn't when I took the moment to reflect on it, and then a few moments to reflect on it. Happy Tuesday, Kayla. When I took a few moments to reflect on it, I was like, wow, wait a minute, I did that. Like, I did that, y'all. And it also I also realized that with everybody that was supporting through it and cheering me on, and telling me congratulations, I had to reframe the way that I looked at people's cheering. Because for me, I'm very hard on myself, which I know a lot of people are. I'm very hard on myself, and so when it feels like I didn't reach, it's like, certain goals or certain milestones or accomplish certain things, people's congratulations start feeling like patronizing, and I reject it. Like, I tell you thank you, but like deep down, it don't sink in. Yeah, yeah. I gained at least one subscriber every day, and when it was done, like, in the moment, it was definitely really hard to accept that and be like, no, I did do a good job. And to see the good in it, because not only because I didn't accomplish what I set out to do with the subscriber goal, which, again, like, I was really holding that pretty loosely. It just sounded cooler to say that than just say I'm going live every day for 30 days. You know what I'm saying? It gave me something to work towards. But also because I recognize that there was a few things that I wasn't able to just like process in the moment and recognize, like, what this was doing for people. And I'll explain that. I'll do my best to explain that. But I want to touch on that. So there's a couple of things that it helped me to do that completely changed my perspective of myself, and just what I deem as an accomplishment and an achievement because of what it represents for myself and for other people. So I know that all sounds like super, like, mysterious, but I promise I'm gonna break down everything. So here's what I'm gonna do. Before I get into breaking them down, I'm gonna tell you what those different things are, and then I'm gonna explain them. Okay. So the very first thing is that the consistency and showing up was one of the biggest things that I gained from doing this, because we always hear like consistency is everything and how important it is to show up and to just like be like, be present to do what you need to do, right? And that's something that I've always felt like I could improve on, but also feeling conflicted by it, because there's a part of you that doesn't want to always feel like you're like a slave to the algorithm, or you're a slave to showing up. And so even to the idea of like what is consistency sometimes is a big like debate for myself, like internally, what does that look like? So the consistency and showing up and finding a way was one of the biggest things that I took away from this challenge that I can use for the future. Another thing that I realized is that I was able to see how the small efforts added up because I was literally paying attention to it. Like I was focused on it and being able to see how each day something new was added on or some new benefit or some new achievement was unlocked. That was something else that I gained that changed my perspective on where I'm at subscriber wise, right? Another thing that it did is that it helped me to build a community on a platform that I felt like did not care about me, y'all. Like, and I know I'm not the only person who be feeling like I don't get no love on YouTube or what, insert your platform here. I don't get no love wherever. And seeing myself literally building a community from not necessarily from scratch, but like starting at a new level than where I'm at with, some of my bigger platforms is also a really big takeaway from it. The other thing is the power of vulnerability, and the reason why the vulnerability is such a big one is because, for one, like, vulnerability is not easy. Like it don't be easy. Like, yeah, there's a part of you that just wants to be able to just look like you have it all together, and there's like some sense of like responsibility that you feel to show up as somebody who's like well put together, and just like that you don't have we don't say we're trying to be perfect, but like that's how we're moving. Like low key, we're saying we want to be perfect. And so the vulnerability and showcasing that is another big one. And I'm like really excited to get into that part of it because that that's that's gonna probably mess a couple of us up, like just listening to the way that I break this down. But that was another benefit. Another thing is that I was able to see how well I know my people. Like, and I don't do a good job of really like flexing, but I really do know people. I have a really deep understanding of the people I want to work with, the people that I aspire to work with, the people that who can I understand your problems. I understand your thoughts. Like that's why when people say like how did you know that, or why are you in my business, why are you reading my mind, it's because of really like I do this. I don't even know how else to say it. Like I do this. I do this. Like I get you. I understand you. And seeing how that plays out even in the way that I navigate conversations. And so that was another one. Okay. And then there's two more. So learning from my failures and embracing imperfections is another big takeaway. And that's another major one, y'all. Like that's a big one. And I'll explain why later, but the perfectionist, the like the need to like have it all figured out, ooh, it be getting you. It be getting me bad. So this really like forced me into like that accountability to show up and do what I said I was going to do. And then the last thing is what it showed me for the future, what I'm looking forward to, and what I was able to take away from this that not only is going to benefit me, but is going to help me to better navigate helping other people do this as well. Like everything that I do, because I'm not just here to make content, I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to make an impact. I'm building a brand. I'm building a business. And so when I'm doing things and I'm testing things out, I'm not doing it just for my own personal development. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it because me learning it and understanding it is going to help me to walk somebody else through this process. And it literally gives me references. Because if y'all been following me for a while, like I talk in stories. I got a story for like everything. And if I don't have a story for it, then that means I shouldn't be talking about it yet. Like I have a story for everything. And that's how I'm able to communicate concepts and help people to understand. So when I have this experience for myself and I go through it for myself, it is so that I can have a reference point for when I am able to bring other people through this process too and help them to navigate it. So it's like basically like putting my money where my mouth is. That I just on a different level, especially with this platform, I felt like it shifted a lot for me. So yeah, Kayla said, I can definitely say that the challenge has me checking out your YouTube more than TikTok. Listen, that's what I love. That's what I love. I almost like I debated going live on TikTok because I was like, I really just want to, I don't know, I just really want to just exist in one place. But for today, I decided I got it all set up. So I'm just gonna do it. But I've been feeling it over here a lot more. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It might be one of those things where like I'm off of it. I might be off of it. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. That makes me nervous though. I can't even lie about that. Like just like dipping out on a platform completely, it takes a lot for me to make that decision. So and the only platform I've ever done that with is Twitter. And I did it before Twitter became X. Like I left Twitter completely. Like I deactivated my account. I wiped everything off. I was like I'm done with it. And I only went back during the pandemic because I felt like maybe it was a good place for me to start to explore written content again because I was really heavy in video and pictures, which was what drew me to Instagram in the first place. But then I was like, I want to position myself as more of an authority. And so I've kind of been flirting with the idea of having more written content for a few years. And so that was the only reason why I even entertained Twitter again. But even trying to go back, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So all that to say, it takes a lot for me to leave a platform, but if I gotta go, then I'm gonna go. You know, like you can always build up another page. As scary as it might be, you can always do it. So, all right. So, are y'all ready to get into like let's do a dive into how this has changed my life? It sounds so dramatic saying it changed my life, but it really did. It really did. And I don't think that I put enough weight and emphasis into the experiences and the challenge that I give myself. I'm just used to like finishing something and then moving on to the next one. Am I the only person that's like that? Like I really don't sit and think about, oh, you did this. And what was that like? And what was the experience? What came from it? Um, the whole idea of reflection, it is usually like an afterthought for me. So this is this is like not this really is not clickbait. It really is no, this changed some things for me. Like this shifted some things. So hey Combo Nation. I definitely am. It's been pivotal to hold space for me to appreciate my achievements. Yeah. Yeah. Listen. Okay. So let's get into it. So the first thing that this shifted for me and it changed is my perception on the numbers, right? And we talk about vanity metrics all the time. You know, like the views don't always mean what you think they mean, and your follower count is not as big of a deal as you think it is. And I know all of those things, and I feel like for most of us, anybody who's been in this space for at least a year has heard that before, right? Like we've heard the numbers don't matter, your followers are not that big of a deal. Like we hear these things, but there is still so much pressure put on us to perform and to reach certain milestones and to reach certain points. And like realistically, here we go. Realistically, we are still there is still that sense of competition and comparison that we can feel because we are in spaces with people who have accomplished all these different numbers, right? So like it's almost impossible for it not to play a part in how you think and how you move or how you perceive yourself. And so when I started this challenge, I Yeah, hearing yes, believing no. Facts. And hey Tish. Yes, I'm recording a video on YouTube. So I'm live on YouTube and on TikTok. So y'all, I when I started the challenge, the 30-day challenge, and I told y'all that my goal was to get to 1,000 subscribers, I feel like I can finally say this now that I'm not gonna say I had no faith in me reaching 1,000, but I held on to that very loosely, like legit very loosely. I was really okay with if this doesn't get to 1,000, I'm not surprised. And it's not because I haven't seen people reach those numbers before, or I haven't seen numbers and videos like, go big and explode, or, people end up getting a lot of subscribers from content. I'm literally watching people who are saying I got to 10,000 and I was at 600 yesterday. Like I've seen some really miraculous stories when it comes to the numbers. However, like, honestly, y'all, that is, like, so seldom my story. That's almost never my story. Like, there have been a few times where things like miraculous things have happened. Thank you so much, Tish. Where miraculous things have happened where I got like a large sum of money, or even with TikTok, I've had videos that really did well and I ended up getting thousands and thousands of subscribers. Like I've had those experiences before, but more often than not, what happens in between those miraculous moments is a lot of work, a lot of resilience, a lot of consistency, a lot of experimenting, and a lot of just seeing what sticks and what happens. Like there that has been so much more of my life, and even just working towards getting these big numbers and the virality when so much of that is out of my control is not a big motivator for me. Like it's just not. Like that's not something I typically am like really moved by. So when I didn't get to the 1,000, when I set that goal, that really was like the icing on the cake, right? Like that was a cherry on top. What I really was looking for when I did this challenge was figuring out what my style was, figuring out what I liked about going live, or what type of topics that I like talking about. What type of people are attracted to this topic or this content style? Or how can I improve how I go live? How can I improve the amount of times I say and ah and like, and how can I minimize the tangents that I go on? So I was looking at different numbers and different metrics to measure my engagement. And so when when I made that my focus, then I was able to really get some deeper information than what I would have gotten from a video going viral and getting that 1,000 in one video, right? Like honestly, like if you really think about it, what does that give you? Like what does that tell you, other than now I have to continue to make viral videos in order to understand what's working. Like it doesn't give you as much information as you might think that it would, because you're getting the numbers in a short amount of time, but you're not given enough time to actually process it and get information about what about this works. So, and that's like a revelation I had in the moment. Like really, the thank you, Mo. Really, like, just think about that for a moment. Like, what do viral videos, what type of information do they give you? Especially if you're someone who is not consistently having viral videos, you're not consistently having content go viral. What information is that giving you? You honestly start feeling like crap when all you're striving to get that virality again, and you don't know what it is that you did to get it the first time. So that was one of the first ones. It's not the biggest one, But I think just even like having it from that perspective, um, and still being brave enough to make it a goal and to vocalize that goal publicly, that still was a big accomplishment for me. So, and I'll talk about that some more towards the end of the video. But that was a good one. The second thing that it did was it showed me the journey of consistency, and not even the power of it, y'all, because I think we talk about how important consistency is, like I said earlier, and we talk about you need to be consistent, and the reason why you're not growing because you're not consistent, and we use the word in a very general sense because consistency can mean so many different things, right? Like, what does it, when you think about consistency, what do you actually think of? Like legit, what are the words? What are the things you think of when you hear consistency? Is consistency literally posting every day? Is consistency literally going live every day? Is consistency this, that? Like, what is it? What does it mean? And also, is consistency, does it always look the same or does it look different depending on what season you're in? Does it look different depending on where you are in your life, what your priorities are, what your goals are for your business? I think that is a very fluid term that is used without giving clarity, right? And so for me, consistency for the month of November, consistency was going live every day, right? Like that was consistency for me. And the reason why that was my consistency goal is because I needed information. I needed to see, what does this look like if I add this or tweak this, or if I do a wild pose in my thumbnail, or if I use this kind of title, right? Like, it was really about gathering data, gathering information, because realistically, I know that for me, going live every day for a year is not feasible. Like, I don't, I honestly, if I did that, that would be a really wild challenge. You know what? Maybe I couldn't. Maybe I won't say I couldn't do it. I won't say that, or that it wouldn't be feasible. But I would have to have a really good reason why I would do that, because that's wild. Anyway, but the goal, like the consistency, had a purpose, like it had a reason. And so being able to see what topics people really liked and resonated with, one of the biggest things that I realized from doing the 30 days is that the brand personalities, that people really enjoyed that. Like, they really enjoyed the brand personalities. And for me, it also gave me some insight into what I should be talking about more in the upcoming year. Like, I really should lean into, how can I really flesh out these brand personalities? How can I approach this from different perspectives? How can I use this in brand analysis about other brands? How can I use this in my content and other forms of content so that other people know what this is and that it exists? Because I'm seeing the appeal and the impact that it's having on people, even if it's not huge numbers. I'm seeing it. I'm noticing the impact. And so it's giving me direction, and it's giving me clarity. And it's honestly making me excited because now I can go deeper on this. Like, I can talk about this. One of the things that I feel is the most frustrating, y'all know, y'all know, not nap lives. Y'all know, that feeling when you have been watching a series on Netflix, and when you finish the series and you don't have no other show lined up, how empty you feel? Y'all know that feeling? Where you're just like, "Okay, well, I finished that show. Now I don't know what to do with my life." Hey, heroes. That's how it can feel sometimes with content. Like, that's how I can feel running a business. You're like, okay, I finished this campaign. Um I finished this event that I've been promoting, and now what? Like, what's next? What do I talk about now? And I feel like that's the place that I was getting at, where I was figuring out, okay, what's next? Like, what do the next few months look like? What are the themes? What are the topics? What am I honing in on? What am I focusing on? What does my content look like? What are my goals outside of content? What does that look like? And so figuring out what is it like, where am I now? That this challenge helped me to figure that out. And it gave me something new to do, something exciting, and something that ultimately is going to just attract more of the right people to me, because I took the time to test this out, experiment, and then discover what it was that was really landing with people. So the small efforts and recognizing them was the takeaway from that. And again, like doing it in challenge form, it gave me structure and it gave me a focus, because oftentimes, especially when you're managing multiple platforms, we're just creating and we're just going, and we're not looking at what is the impact that I'm making? What's really working for me versus what's not working for me? I'm showing up every day, or however often you're showing up. I'm making all this content, and as tired as I am, it still feels like I have gotten nowhere. And it's because we're not measuring our results. Like, we're not actually looking at what's happening. What are the numbers telling me? What is this information telling me? What are the people telling me? What am I telling myself? So the being able to be present during it and actively moving through it was a really big impact. So yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know you feel me on that, Kayla. So the next thing that it did, the next way that it changed my life is that I'm building community, not just subscribers. Okay? Community. This was this was I think the biggest challenge for me. And this is like the tension that I have, that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially people whose goal is not just to make content and get paid from the platform, but you are making content because you also have a business. You're operating like a business, right? And there's this like back and forth that you experience between my focus being on how many subscribers or followers I have versus how impactful I'm being, how intentional am I being, how engaged is my community, how well am I building these relationships. And it's not to say that you can't have both, right? Like, you can experience both and navigate them. But what happens more often than not is that you tend to lean more heavily on one side or the other. And then you look up and you're like, wow, my head has been down, and I've just been like, followers, subscribers, numbers, meet this goal, get this content up, get these views up, right? And when you're in that place, you neglect the actual community part of things. You neglect the actual relationship building and getting to know people, and it's so easy to do. Like, it is so easy to slip into it, especially when you are someone who maybe look at your the amount of comments that you have on your video, and you're like, I got one comment on this video, this is trash. Like, all right, one person gave this a thumbs up, or only four people like this video. This is horrific, right? And because we're thinking in influencer space, right? We're thinking in our influencer mind or content creator mind that the numbers aren't up to par, but the fact that people are engaging gets neglected, or the fact that the same people are coming back. gets neglected. Even when like my to be like keep it like straight up with y'all, the most views I had on my live streams in November, the most people I had at one time was 9 views. 9. Like that was the most. Not even double digits. 9. And I was so impressed by that because it started out with 1. 2. I was happy when I got 3 one time. I was like, "Uh-oh, we moving up in the world. 3 people came through." So, being able to see how those numbers slowly starting to increase, even though they are small increments, it indicates community. It indicates growth. It indicates, no, you're trending in the right direction. And this is not a new concept to me, um, which is why I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a revolutionary idea. But what I think makes it so impactful is the platform that it's on. The fact that I was able to do this on YouTube, that I'm seeing this on YouTube, it is me day by day conquering the fear that I had that I could never grow over here. I could never get past a certain amount of subscribers. I could never get a video past a certain amount of views. I could never, XYZ, right? I was so tired of making content and people never commenting on it. Now I have some people who comment on every video. Every video. It's still not dozens of comments, but they're commenting. Like I have more and more videos where there is at least one comment. And that to me, it gives me a lot more than having one video go viral would ever do for me. Okay. And so really thinking that I'm not just building subscribers, I'm building community. And yeah, 3 is a party. And I'm not just I'm building community. And the other reason why that's important is because I'm um I'm thinking about long term. If I get a bunch of subscribers, but those subscribers are not coming back and watching my content, or they all followed me off of a video that I don't even want to be known for. Like I had this video that ended up going viral for me on YouTube. It was like my first experience with that ever. And it was a juicing video. And I was so mad because I made 3 juicing videos, maybe 4 juicing videos. And I was like, I don't want to be the juice lady. I was like, I do not want to do this. I was so mad at everyone that liked that video because I was like, y'all, I don't want to do this. I said y'all, I catfished y'all because I do not want to do this no more. And so being able to build a community with the type of content that I am interested in talking about, and I still am interested in talking about a year from now, that is dope to me. And that says a lot more than reaching a number just to reach a number. And then the last part to that too is that like just thinking realistically, it just feels like it's very unlikely that if I'm getting let's say I'm getting like a lot of subscribers from a video, maybe like let's say like I'm getting a lot of subscribers from a YouTube short, right? And I'm seeing all of this I'm seeing all of these numbers go up, but it's not translating to watch time, or it's not translating to views for my other videos. Now the point of me getting the 1,000 and the 4,000 watch hours is so that I can monetize on the platform, through the platform. But if I'm not seeing those numbers consistently, then I'm not going to be making money off of it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it just wasn't adding up to me. Like it didn't make sense for me to be caping so hard for something that I wasn't confident I could sustain. And I think that that's like one of the biggest things for me, which can sometimes look like perfectionism, or it can look like me overthinking it, but it feels so much better to know how to replicate something than to do it and then not be confident in your ability to repeat that. Like I don't even know what I did. I can't help you at all. That don't feel good to me. Like I like strategy. I like systems. I like to understand frameworks and how, like, patterns. I like to understand that so that I can now have some things in my life on semi autopilot. It does not do me any good to have to constantly be figuring out how to keep doing the same thing. Like that literally would like drive me crazy. Yeah. In future partnerships, companies care more about engagement than just a follower count. Yeah, because like realistically, like is this converting or not? Like, is it converting or not? So yeah, the community over the subscribers has been a really good takeaway from where I'm at with my YouTube channel. So let's get into the big one, okay? The first big one, and that is the power of vulnerability. I talked about, I use the phrase saying the quiet part out loud. And I said that a couple of videos ago. And I was encouraging people to stop being surface level when it comes to their content, because surface is what everybody's talking about. The surface is where everybody is at, right? Everybody's up here. I'm thinking about like going, let's say we're in the ocean, and everybody can handle, the shallow part, right? Everybody can handle it. We can stand up in it, we can sit down in the water. We don't feel like the waves wash over us, but they don't topple us over. Like, we feel good here, right? But then when you want to start going further into the ocean, or when you want to start going deeper into the ocean, that requires a different level of training. That requires for you to be able to hold your breath for longer. That requires for you to maybe have some type of equipment for you to be able to dive deeper. And I liken that to the way that people, hey, Biscuit, the way that people are creating right now. Like, people are comfortable where they can wade in the water, or where they can stand up and the water only hits their knees or their ankles. They don't want to go deeper. They want to stay where everybody is at, right? And when you're somebody who's willing to say the things that go a little bit deeper, that makes you automatically stand out. But the reason why most people don't do that is because, yes, it started. The reason why most people don't do that is because it requires a certain level of vulnerability that people aren't comfortable with having. Like, if you really want to make content that hits different, if you really want to make content that makes people feel like, how are you reading my mind right now? That requires for you to be able to go deeper yourself. That requires for you to be open about certain things, that requires you to be willing to say things that may rub people the wrong way, that may not land well on people, that might receive some pushback. And you got to be willing to do that, because you know that naturally it's going to attract who it's supposed to attract, and it's going to repel who is supposed to repel, right? Like, it's just not going to be for everybody. And so, hey John, and so this is what I experienced in doing this challenge. One of the biggest parts of being vulnerable during the 30 days for me was, for one, for one, y'all seeing how frustrated I was getting at certain times. If y'all were here, some people weren't, but if y'all were here for Family Feud, I literally just ended the live. I was like, I'm getting so frustrated. I just need to go. I need to go. It's time to end it. I've been on here for an hour. It's time to go. Or you see my son running behind in the background, coming in, interrupting the lives. all of that always, it always frustrates me. Or if I'm when I would post the video and then I'm on TikTok, I'm getting some kind of violation or restriction in the middle of me talking. Like all of these things were very vulnerable moments that I was not able to hide behind editing. I wasn't able to make it pretty. I couldn't make it cute. I couldn't have like the little, please stand by screen pop up real fast and then me come back on like, hey y'all, like and get my life together real fast. That all of that was very vulnerable for me. And even some of the things that I've talked about where it was hard. I had to like breathe through some of it. Some of it I just legit cried, and we just had to be there for that. And if it made you uncomfortable, I don't apologize for that. But at the same time, I get it. Like I get if it made you uncomfortable. So all of that, being willing to do that because that was what it took for me to show up consistently. That was all vulnerability, and that's just not something that a lot of people are willing to do. They're not willing to be that. They're not willing to show that. They're not interested in being honest about those things. And I'm not saying that you have to be, but what I am saying is that it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Yes, I really want to have a please stand by. Like I just want to have a little commercial break. We can play some elevator music. I can get myself together and then we can come back cuz when I figure out how to do that, I will let y'all know. I will let y'all know cuz that is one aspect that I don't want to keep. I would really love for things to just be a little more polished. Just a little bit more, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So we just gonna have to catch these tears when they fall. Okay. But the vulnerability, there is another part to it that really stuck out to me, and that was the Black Friday conversation. Um, and I want to give y'all real quick. I want to give y'all some of the reasons why that video, that topic in particular, hit different for me. So y'all roll with me on this tangent that we're about to go on for a second, because this just came to my mind. So if you are not aware, I did a video talk about the fact that I'm not participating in Black Friday. I didn't even try. I didn't try to scramble and put nothing together. When people were talking about it in August, September, I was still not interested. October, I was just not interested. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to. It feels like it would be way too much added onto my plate. And I am just disinterested in participating this year. And I felt a lot of conflicting thoughts about that because while I felt while I know I made the best decision for myself in that moment, it still didn't feel good. Like it didn't feel good to make. It was a very uncomfortable decision to make. And so when I was thinking about how to talk about it, and I took I asked like Chat GPT a few questions because I was just really conflicted by it. And so I was asking like, how can I talk about this topic? Like how can help me to make this a good video to talk about basically. And so some of the things that came up were about how Black Friday promotes consumerism, right? And overconsumption, and how it capitalizes on shame and people feeling like they don't have enough, and just this perception that we need things when we really don't, right? Like, and I think that for many of us, we already understand that concept and what it does, and that don't stop us from participating. Like it don't stop nothing. Like it's not going to stop me from shopping. And when I was when I was reading through the responses that it was giving me, they felt really self-righteous. Like it felt very preachy and judgy. And the biggest issue that I had with it is that these, while I know this to be true, this is really not what motivated me. Like, and I know this. And so what it forced me to do, um when I was really like working through this concept, is I asked ChatGPT. I was like, how can we talk about this topic from a more realistic perspective? Because I don't necessarily agree. Like, I'm going to shop. If I feel like shopping, I'm going to shop. I'm not shopping because it's Black Friday. I just don't want to be operating my business at the same time. And I didn't have anything set up where I could do that. Like, I didn't have anything automated where I could just be selling when I was off. It just was like I just had to go. I just had to check out because I just didn't have it. I didn't have it, and I didn't want to try to scramble and put it together. And so it really wasn't about, oh, overconsumption and consumerism and this is not sustainable. And but I still have those feelings, right? Like, I still have those things, and that's something that I'm still battling with. I'm not firmly on one side or the other. I'm definitely in the gray area when it comes to this. So I was like, how can I talk about this from a place that honors the, like, conflicting ideas that I have, but it's still the truth. It's still my truth. And that was another opportunity to be vulnerable, because I feel like for a lot of us, we try to do the good thing. We try to do what's right, and we try to do what is the path with least resistance, or the path that makes us look the best, like the things that put us in the best light. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I spend so much time being worried about being presenting myself the right way instead of just being myself. And so that to me is the very opposite of being vulnerable. Like, that's me being curated and polished and doctored up so that I can present what I believe will make me look the best, as opposed to just being me. Like, this is where I'm at with it. This is where I am. And this is what it's going to be. Like, I really want to spend more time just existing, and not trying to make myself into what I feel like I'm supposed to be. Whew. Listen. Listen. Like, when I tell you breakthrough moment, breakthrough moment. So, and that came from this challenge. Like, can you believe it? That came from this challenge. Being able to, like, be me for real. And the reason why this hits home for me is because this is what I preach all the time. Like, y'all, like, and you hear me talk about being authentic, even though, like, I don't even want to use the word authentic now, because I feel like authentic is a buzzword and people are watering it down. So I've even started switching. Like, I say authentic less. Hopefully I say it less. In my mind I say it less. But I switched to being bold and being courageous and being you. And the fact that this is what I got from this experience, it means that I'm living it. Like, I'm living bolder. I'm living more courageous. And it can, when I refused at first to reflect on it, or it wasn't even really a refusal, I just didn't give myself the time to. I had to do it, and then I was able to process it. But when I look back on what I was doing on the surface, it looks like, oh, you're just doing a challenge and making content, la di da. But in real life, like personally, this was shifting me. This was shifting my heart. This was shifting how I show up, how I talk, how I see myself. And I'm documenting it in real time so that other people can see what it looks like to have access to this type of boldness and this type of courage. And if that's not life changing, then I don't know what your definition of life changing is, because life changing. And to have that experience right before going into the new year, like, you're not just gonna be able to talk to me no kind of way, okay? Like 2025 me, hey Ron, hey Ashane, 2025 me, tread lightly, okay? Tread lightly. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's bothering me. I'm not squaring up with nobody in real life, but for all my metaphorical haters. Hey, better watch your back, okay? Watch your back and your front. I love you too, Ron. I don't yeah, you caught me at the right time. My eyes were dry until right at that moment. But that's like that one, that was I told y'all that was a big one. That was a big one. A big takeaway. So yeah, one day I really am gonna make this shirt that says "I'ma cry." Yes, I'ma cry. I'm gonna cry. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't even know what to tell you. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Okay. So the next thing that I got from this one, hopefully this one don't make me tear up too. This one's more like this next one gives me more like Nuck if you buck energy. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Ashane. It gives more Nuck if you buck energy. Like I got hands. Like that's what this one makes me feel like. So I hopefully it won't turn into, tears. We'll see though. We'll see wherever this takes me. But the next one is it taught me to embrace my imperfections. Hey Andrea, it taught me to embrace my imperfections. When when I think about the ways that I like to create content, I really enjoy being able to have things be as close to perfect as possible. And that's not groundbreaking. I know that there are a lot of people that are like that, and that commitment to excellence and quality and just the art of creating, I don't feel bad about that being me, like my personality. Like I don't, because you it we need people like that. But one thing that it does stop you from doing is it stops you from taking risks. Like, it stops you from taking chances. You end up having such a strong hold on your ideas that you don't ever try anything bold. You don't do anything bold. You stay safe, which is the opposite of what I want. I don't want to be safe. I don't want to be, in the middle somewhere. I don't want to be mediocre. I want to be excellent. Like, I want to be exceptional. I want to stand out when people see me, when they hear me, when I walk into rooms, when I have relationships with people. I want it to be exceptional. Like, I want to be top of mind. And so that requires for me to be able to have a higher risk tolerance than I had before. And I would say that for the most part, y'all, I have a pretty moderate risk tolerance for most things, especially because it's my nature to have an idea and then just try it. Like that's my personality. But I think that over the years, especially in making so many mistakes as an entrepreneur and as a creative, making so many mistakes, it has made me much more cautious and to a fault. Like I don't want to do that because that doesn't make sense, or I don't want to do that because it doesn't align, it doesn't go with what I want to do. And then not even coming from a place of being firm in that decision, but more so being uncomfortable with the pivot, being uncomfortable with not having all the answers and not having all the steps. And honestly, like if it's like if we talking real talk, like straight up, is that fear of it not working and not being confident in my ability to bounce back from that. And it's always so interesting for that to be a challenge when one of the ways that people have always described me, one of the words people have always used to describe me is resilient. And this is like came from different people who did not have a conversation about me. Like they told me this at different times, but people have always used that word to describe me. And it was always interesting to me because I'm like, I don't see a resilient person. Like I feel like I'm just always flip-flopping and just doing something. I feel like if any, I'm a flaky person. I never felt like I was resilient. But for that to be like constantly the type of words that people would use to describe me, like there has to be some truth to it, right? Like and these aren't people who are just like watching me from afar. These are people who know me in real life, right? And so if I know that this is my personality, this is the character trait that I have, that I can bounce back, I can come back from this, I will be okay. Even if the worst case scenario happens, I'm still here and I can still try again. I can still keep going. And so I'm thinking like how bad would it be, like real life, y'all? How bad would it be if I didn't get to the thousands, if I didn't get 1,000 in 30 days? Like, let's really think about this. Worst case scenario, what happened? I didn't even feel embarrassed by it. Like that's how unfazed I was by it. Like I don't feel embarrassed. And I still had my feelings about it because I would have loved to reach it. But I think that there is enough space for two things to be true at once. Exactly. Like I'm just gonna keep going. I still got a page. You can still subscribe. I'm still making content. I can get to 1,000. Having 1,000 is still going to help me, even if it doesn't happen for another month or another week. Maybe like I don't know when it's going to happen, but like, is it really stopping anything? And I was like, what am I really losing by trying? Like, what's really at risk here? Nothing. Maybe my ego. Maybe my ego. Because it would have been dope to be like, yeah, I got that 1,000 in 30 days. That would have been a dope video. That would have been such a dope video to be like, yeah, y'all. So I went live for 30 days and I got that 1,000 subscribers. You could never. No, that's probably why I didn't get it, y'all, for real. Because that would have been my attitude. Be like, I got 1,000 in 30 days. You could never. That's why I'm being humble. I'm being humble proactively. It's all right though. It's all right. It's all right. I have decided, hey Adrian, I have decided that it's going to make it an even better story. It's going to make it a better story. And when I tell it, it's going to be riveting, okay? It's going to be a really good story. Like the greatest stories, they got the ups and the downs, and then they got a little bit of an up, and then they go down again a little bit, and then they come back up again. So that's just the kind of story I'm going to have. It's not going to be it just kept going up and I never had any challenges or disappointments. So, and just be good with that. But learning from learning from the failures, and I'm okay with calling them failures, because I don't see failing as something as a I see it as it just happened. Like if I had a goal, I didn't reach that goal, I failed at that. And I can just keep trying. Like, I don't, it doesn't have I guess for me, it's like almost like reclaiming it in a way. And not necessarily reclaiming it, but shifting my perspective on the word. So, some people like you, we don't take L's, they're lessons. You whatever you gotta say, whatever makes you feel good. I personally don't mind saying that it was a failure and letting it just roll off my back and being like, okay, but I'm still going to show up and make this content. So, but learning from that, and then also from being able to recognize the small wins too. I think that that's one of the biggest ones that helps me to be the resilient person that I am, is that yes, I failed at one aspect of it, but what did I gain from this experience? What did I learn from this experience? What does this give me now? Like even when it comes to the content that I made on TikTok for it, the content's still there. So at some point, people might find it a month from now and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know you was doing this challenge. Where's your channel at?" So it doesn't. It's all just investments, small investments into what I want for my future, and being able to see the hope and the light in the things that also didn't work, and being able to like know that both can exist, like both spaces can exist at the same time. So I think that was it taught me what to look for specifically with YouTube, which has been so helpful for me. Like really looking at, okay, what do these numbers look like over here? What can I experiment with on this platform specifically, which all is just giving me more and more information. Y'all know how they say to fail fast and often, because it gives you more information. That's the type of energy that I have with it. Like try something, try as much as you can, learn from it, and then adjust, adapt, and then keep going. That's what it gives me. Like you can learn so much from reflecting than you can from trying to predict the future. Like it's always going to give you more information. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it, and that's what I took away from the challenge as well. Release the pressure and take pleasure in the experience. Yes, exactly. So, I think that the last thing I wanted to say to that point, with the releasing, learning from the failures, embracing imperfection, is that was another big one for me that I naturally don't enjoy. I don't think anyone enjoys it. And I don't I guess like I'm okay that it doesn't feel good, but being able to process that feeling instead of trying to work so hard to avoid it. That was what oh yes, thank you. I was that's what I was thinking about. So y'all, I had this thought about how as humans we have a tendency to avoid pain, right? Like we try our best to avoid uncomfortable things. We don't enjoy pain, and we spend a lot of our time trying to be comfortable, and that's our nature. And so for us to experience things that are uncomfortable and be willing to is not it's something that we have to be intentional about doing. And so I was thinking about how intense it can feel to be embarrassed by something, or to feel shameful about something, or to feel sad and discouraged, angry, frustrated, and how often that dictates our decisions. and it keeps us from attempting things and trying things. And even if even when we do have the courage to try, I feel like sometimes we feel that because we had the courage to try, that means that we won't experience those feelings. And that's not always true. Sometimes we still do have to, like, we still will. I gave this my all. I gave this the best that I could, and I still feel disappointed. My feelings are still hurt. This still doesn't feel good, but that doesn't mean that this wasn't an important experience for me to have. And being more willing to accept those and know that it's not about what it says about us, but more so about what that experience allows us to get to, like what it allows us to go through and see on the other side of it. That is so much more impactful and so much more helpful than trying to predict what it's going to be like and then moving to avoid. Like, I think we spend a lot of time just trying to avoid stuff. And so that is one of the things that I gathered from embracing the imperfection, is that embracing it means being able to experience the feelings that feel good and the feelings that don't feel good, and knowing that they both have a place, and then keep living life. So yeah, that was I don't know what it brought me to that thought originally, but I thought that that was just important to think about, and to ask yourself, like, are there certain feelings that you are striving to avoid? Are there certain things that you, or even just experiences that you've had from past failures, or things that hurt you or discouraged you, that you are now basing your decisions on trying to avoid those, not wanting to revisit them, not wanting to experience them again or open yourself up to them, because those might be the very things that are keeping you from what it is that you truly want, that you truly desire. Um, my aim to avoid imperfection and failing at something that I declared publicly kept me from it. It kept me almost like debating on whether I wanted to do it or not. It didn't necessarily keep me from it, because I've been practicing more and more, just in like it going through those unpleasant feelings and processing those feelings. But the desire to back away from it was still there, right? And if I had listened to those thoughts, if I had allowed those to dictate my choices, and lead me to not doing the challenge, then I wouldn't have all of these amazing takeaways from it. I wouldn't have all of these amazing things that I can share from the experience. And so I would have robbed myself of something really valuable and resourceful for myself and for the people that are listening to this. So think about that for yourself and what that might be, because realistically, we all have something that we would rather not. Like, I'm good on that. Let's keep that where it's at. Let's throw that on back and act like we didn't see it. So think about what that might be for you. And while you may not necessarily know what it's holding you back from, or you may not know what's on the other side of you embracing it, I know that there's a part of you that knows it's stopping you from something. Like, it's holding you back for something. Like, it feels like it's like a almost like something like holding your arms back. Like, I imagine it being like this. So you want to go, but something's like this, like, like, I'm gonna do a little bit, but I can't go full force. I can't go full throttle on this. And when you can identify that, I would encourage you to explore it and see what it is that is waiting for you in that experience. And I feel like it's going to be a breakthrough moment for you. So that's something that I felt like I had to share with y'all. So, all right, let's talk about what's next. Okay. Before I talk about that, I saw you said something, Adrian. You didn't fail with what was in your control. The number is something we can't control. Growing this number and cultivating what you have is through engagement, insights, and topics that connect and help. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I agree with that. I don't. Again, I feel like I'm okay. I'm okay that I failed at reaching the 1,000 subscribers. Like, I don't know, y'all. I really am. I really am okay. I don't know how else to say it. I appreciate the encouragement, though. I really do. But I am. I promise you, I'm okay. Like, I don't. I look at it almost as like it's just information, you know. This this didn't get me what I was working towards, but that's okay. And in the beginning, I mentioned that my real goal was to create the content and to get the information from creating for 30 days, right? So that definitely was in my control and I definitely did succeed in that. Um, but my one of my goals also was to get the 1,000 if that was something that happened. So it was something that I definitely was holding loosely. But yeah, I hope that that makes sense. But I really am. I really am okay. Like, I'm okay. And I say that because I feel like sometimes we feel like we want to encourage people and we want to make sure that they don't feel like they're not putting themselves down or discouraging themselves. And sometimes that can feel uh not stifling, but it can feel I guess a little it can feel stifling sometimes because I think that it's important for me to be able to be honest about that and then like allow that to be that while also knowing that it doesn't define me and it's not making me feel like a failure. Like, I don't identify as a failure. I don't believe that I'm a failure. I just believe that I failed at that goal. And I can separate it from my worth, which is something that has taken a lot of time for me to be able to do. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure that I shared that. So, I thank you for it. I always say excellence requires revision. Revision is a necessary part of the growth process. Knowing what to revise is part of the thriving process. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, y'all. So, the little one's home. So I'm gonna do this last one really quickly. Okay. So, looking forward, looking ahead, what is next in this journey for me on YouTube? Um, I'm definitely going to continue the lives. I don't know. I still don't know how often they're going to be. Um, but my aim will at least be at minimum it'll be once a week. But I still enjoy being able to just talk like this candidly, and I feel like it's continuing to stretch me. So I don't want to just like dip out like I tend to do when I do these challenges because I stopped going live for like months, and I don't want to lose um that what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to lose the habit. That's not the word, but that's what I'm gonna use. I don't want that habit to start to get rusty. Another thing that I'm going to be doing more of is I'm going to be posting more shorts um, on YouTube because I know that it's an important part of what YouTube is pushing right now and being able to get visibility to my longer videos. And figuring out what that looks like, what that correlation looks like, because that's the part to me that's still very mysterious. Like, it all still feels like it doesn't connect or go together. So I want to see what that looks like, and what I learned as far as what content I like to create, with shorts. And then the biggest thing that I want to let y'all know about, which is not related to my YouTube channel, but it is related to business, is that I'm going to be hosting an event called Courage to Create. And Courage to Create is something that was inspired partly by this challenge and what I've been learning about being courageous, and not just being um a creator who is driven by what you feel you're supposed to do, or what you feel is appropriate, or what you feel is acceptable, but really being courageous enough to be bold, to be yourself, and to challenge yourself to do the things that you've been telling yourself you're not capable of. Because that's what, when I was referencing, reflecting and thinking about the things that you would rather not revisit, the things you would rather not experience, there is something powerful on the other side of that. There's something so powerful when you decide that you're going to face it. And even that takes courage. Before you even get to the creation part of things, have being courageous enough to ask the questions that might expose your vulnerabilities. Being courageous enough to ask the questions that might have you not look like you have it all together, which is something you might be deathly afraid of. Having the courage to say things that may make you look like you don't have as much knowledge as you do in certain areas, and then being okay with that. And so the courage to create is due partly to that, but also most importantly, being courageous enough to show people that you really are that girl, like you really are that guy. There's so much of this year, so many things this year have been showing me that you're still playing small. You're still downplaying yourself. You're still holding back. You're still shrinking when certain things or certain opportunities are presented to you. And there are still things where I'm operating at a from a safe place, right? And so even thinking about those people and what that looks like for you, the courage to create is going to open up the doors for you to remove the box and remove the walls and remove the limits that you have been giving yourself, and to open yourself up to bigger, and those dreams and those visions that you have, those ideas that felt like they're so far off, but maybe they're not as far as you think. They're just on the other side of that experience that you don't want to go through, or that type of content you don't want to create, or that story you don't want to tell, right? So the courage to create is going to be an event. It's going to be a free event. It's going to be a time for us to reflect, for us to envision what we want for ourselves coming up with this next year. And not even just the year, but I feel like because we're going into 2025, that's what people say. Honestly, I'm gonna be straight up. It's not even just about 2025. It is about, what do I want differently for myself moving forward? How do I want things to look? How do I want things to operate? How do I want to style myself? How do I want to speak? What type of relationships do I want to have? What type of businesses do I want to have? What type of products do I want to have? What type of clients do I want to serve? Right? So, thinking about those things, being courageous enough to dream, being courageous enough to put them down on paper, and then being even more courageous enough to confront whatever it is that's got us like this, that's got us holding ourselves back, that's got us taking a step forward, but then not really getting into it, not really diving deep. Just, just enough for us to see what it could be, but then not fully diving into what it takes to achieve it and sustain it. So that's what the event's gonna be about. Yes, exactly. Embracing the pivot. And I will have a date for you. It'll be towards the end of December. So y'all keep your eyes out for the link to it. When it is uploaded, I will definitely put it in the description box for this video, and then I will talk about it. I'll talk about it other times too, so that you know that it's available to register for it. And I hope to see all of y'all there because I think that there's something that we can all get from this event. And I told y'all what you're basically going to get from it, but you really not going to know till you get there. Like, you're really not going to know till you get there what's in store for you. And that makes me so excited. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the big thing for this month. So uh that's it. That's what's coming up. I will see y'all. If I'm not on tomorrow, then I'll absolutely be on Thursday and we'll talk some more. I still said that I was going to revisit the modern royalty conversation, and so I'm gonna come back to that, and we're gonna talk about that some more because I definitely enjoyed when we talked about that with Kiki. So we'll come back to that conversation, and then we'll talk a little bit more about being courageous, the courage to create, and we'll see where it takes us. Yes. When is this? I'm ready yet. I will let y'all know. It'll be the end of December. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna have us in a really good place for next year. So yay. All right, you guys. I will talk to y'all soon. Y'all be good. Y'all stay encouraged. Stay warm if it's cold where you are. And I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Bye.